Hey, how's everybody doing today? Once again, my feed is filling up with flat and globe earth debates. I guess these are one of those topics that will never end. Even people that used to be die-hard globers are now on the fence. There are good arguments on both sides. Most of the flat earth arguments can be explained away. But the problem I have is that I can never get a counter argument for some of the questions that I have. For example, flat earthers make a good argument of why plane flight paths never take a straight route over the ocean to its destination without stopping at a location off that path.
All right, Wellington to Lima stops in Los Angeles. This is what it looks like on the globe. Again, goes all the way to Los Angeles and all the way down to Lima. Go check this yourself. You can literally look these flights up yourself. This is exactly what it does. Why wouldn't it just go straight across? Then we have the flat earth map. Wellington to Los Angeles to Lima, Peru. Makes a little bit more sense, eh? All right, here's Sydney, Australia to Lima, Peru. Stops in Los Angeles. Sydney, all the way up to Los Angeles, all the way over to Lima. Why not just go straight across? Oh wait, it's because the globe is a lie. Sydney to Los Angeles, all the way to Lima, Peru.
I have two reasons why that could be. It may not be the real explanation, but it's an explanation. One, maybe, just maybe, some people on that flight final destination is actually at that pit stop. Two, one that I believe is that they don't want you to see what's really in the ocean. You know, this is always the same area of the ocean that they are trying to avoid. How many times you look at very old maps, specifically around the 1500s, the originators of those maps always drawing strange creatures in those areas of the water.
This is a 1539 map and has some of the craziest sea creature drawings I've seen. Check it out. You got this one here, and they have names as well, which is pretty wild. And you have the stories you hear about somebody landing on a beach or a rock and end up being a sea creature. And there you got that one there. And then I don't know what they're doing there, but check. Alright, so you see this one about on there. But look how big. Look at you got the person right there with that. It's just crazy. It's pretty wild, all the different characters coming up through there. Look at that one there. Got this here too. And then when you go to, okay, you got them. If you notice, got this guy like singing right there. See that? Look, I'm singing. He's bringing them abreast with his music. I thought that was interesting because I saw that also. Right here, look at that. Have you ever seen this map from 1587? Like this one with the bird carrying an elephant? It's quite crazy. There's so many crazy drawings and depictions here. And I'll go over a few of them with you and let you comment on them. But it was quite interesting. All the depictions. And as you'll see, there's no ice and there's land all the way around. And then up in the Americas, they have a griffin up there, which I thought was pretty cool. But there are drawings everywhere. I mean, everywhere, where you have this character here, which was really interesting. And all along this area, they have all these different depictions like this. Or like that. Or like that. Just wild. And it keeps going. There's more and more. It just doesn't stop. This is probably one of the most interesting maps I've ever seen. And as you'll see here too. Oops, let me just do it the other way. Sorry. As you go further, you see even more interesting characters all throughout. Very interesting map. It's pretty wild looking there. Just all the different animal depictions everywhere. And then these.
Those creatures aren't dead, and they don't want you to see them. Could that be the reason they're avoiding those areas? Another thing about maps from the 1500s, There's no ice walls. What technology created that? What cataclysm caused that? I had so many questions in my last video on Flat Earth that never got answered. For example, Flat Earthers love using that when a ship disappears over the horizon and you use binoculars or a telescope, the ship reappears because the Earth is flat. Now, using that same logic, when the sun sets over the horizon and you use the most powerful telescope, which is an observatory on a flat surface, it's never reported that you can see the sun at night. There's a contradiction. Or, if you've been following me, I posted a video of the Go Fast rocket, an independent rocket experiment that people seem to bypass, showing the edge of the planet, and there's no ice wall. In fact, there's still more land on the edge. You also have these content creators calling Globers idiots because they won't believe what their eyes are showing them, but at the same time showing all these cultures that have the flat earth model throughout history, but don't point out the fact that every one of those images have different landmass, and none of them showing Black Rock, the so-called center of the flat earth. Now, could it be possible that all these cultures had their own separate version of flat earth and had domes all over the planet, and there was the same Adam and Eve story in each one of them? Remember the Tower of Babel, where all the humans lost their communication skills and got dispersed all over the planet, but at the same time cultures all over the planet had the same blueprint of technology? Makes you think. On top of that, I mentioned before in previous videos that during the Tower of Babel, how do we know that humans back then all didn't have telepathy? How do we all know they didn't have some type of advanced chip implant and history is just repeating itself? And when they all started banding together to wage war on the gods, the gods turned off the switch and humans couldn't communicate because they never had to use their tongue to talk before, which caused them to babble. Blah, 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 blah. Flat Earthers also saying the sun is much closer to the earth than we think. About 3,000 miles from Earth to be exact.
So the idea there is that it must be a globe because the sun. If the sun's here, then it's got to be dark on the other side. Well, the thing about the sun is that we're told it's 93 million miles away. It's not. It's actually something around 3,000 miles away and about 34 miles across. That might sound really crazy, but if you look at look out on a day that's got broken cloud, you'll see that the sun rays will come out at an angle. Most people have seen this. The rays come down at angles. If the sun was 93 million miles away, then all the light will be coming parallel. So if you imagine, there's no way to show 93 million miles, but something way over there, all the light that reaches this globe will be parallel. There's no way that light can come that far and spread out like that. Now, if you follow those light rays, you'll see exactly where the sun is. And as I said, it works out to be about 3,100 miles.
Okay, the Artemis rocket, if you believe that story, is reported to fly over 17,000 miles according to Google, whether they had astronauts or not. Could be aliens escaping for all we know using astronaut as a cover. But if the rocket flies up to 17,000 miles and the sun is 3,000 miles away, shouldn't that rocket reach the level of the sun in under 6 minutes? Totally contradicting the speed of light. If the light from the sun reached the earth in 8 minutes, because they measure this and I'm assuming by observing the solar flares from the sun and timing the effects on earth, how the hell a rocket reached the sun before light from the sun reached the earth? If the sun is 3,000 miles away, how do you explain these weird orbs that we call Venus and Mercury passing in front of it? Either those are some very tiny planets or there's something bigger going on. And if those planets are the size that they're supposed to be, how the hell they fit under the firmament? And speaking of Venus, here's another plus for the flat earthers.
Credit to this fella creating Davicus is just about to make a very interesting point about how Mercury and Venus disprove the heliocentric model. Watch this.
Here, I've got Mercury represented in its first orbit, and it supposedly orbits somewhere around 43 million miles at its maximum. And then you have Venus over here at 67 million miles in the second orbit from the Sun.
67 million miles away, Venus from the Sun.
We've got Earth up here in the third orbit, go around the Sun at 66,000 miles an hour, supposedly at a distance of 93 million miles from the Sun. Okay, and in the meantime, we're spinning around here. Okay, right now, the reason I got the light, I just wanted to cast a strong enough shadow. So you see, this would be daytime on this side, and it's nighttime on this side, the dark side. Okay, so I get thinking, we are out here looking this way. We're looking out that way. Well, not the Earth out in its orbit, but we're looking this direction toward the darkness in our sky. Okay? Now the question is, why can't I see Venus at all? If Venus is rotating down here in the second orbit, we're in the third orbit, but we are facing away from Venus right now. How come I can see it in the sky? I mean, it might be up here, wherever, but it's still maintaining this circular distance in here, inside the orbit, on the inside orbit between Earth and Sun. So why am I able to see Venus on the dark side of Earth right now? It would have to be out here to enable it to be seen. It would have to be catching the light from the Sun and being able to be seen here. If it's where we are told it is located, we would not be able to see it in our night sky right now.
That's very interesting, but I also got to see that on a flat earth model. And you know what's something that's interesting too? A couple of years ago, I seen Venus right next to the moon. I was looking at the moon with my binoculars and I noticed it was a dot next to the moon. And then I took a closer look at it and I realized that it was Venus. I never seen Venus before in the daytime. And it gave me chills. I was so excited seeing it. And I started, now that seeing this video, it made me start thinking, like, if you could see the moon in the daytime and at night, it's rotating around the Earth. If you could see Venus at night and in daytime, Venus may be rotating around the Earth instead of the Sun, like we've been told. I mean, everything is a lie. That could be a lie too. Venus could be rotating around the Earth instead of the Sun. Something to think about. And while we at it, another thing I want to point out. I spent a week in Costa Rica and almost a week in Panama. And this is like South America area. That whole time I was there, I never saw the moon. I never saw the moon. There's never been a time that 3 days passed and I never seen the moon. That whole time, both times, I never saw the moon. So that's something telling me that there's something is going on. I don't know what it is. Flat earthers might say because the moon is a projection, but if it is, why it's not projecting down there? But something is off. Maybe the moon just hang out in the northern hemisphere of the planet and you don't see it on the bottom. But I never heard anybody ever talk about they don't see the moon in the southern hemisphere of the planet. Getting back to my questions, how come we don't see the sun's reflection off the firmament crystalline dome to give the appearance of two suns passing each other throughout the day? Unless it's on the outside, and that changes the whole story again. Most flat earthers believe that we can't get to the moon because of the Van Allen belt. Wouldn't that mean that the Van Allen belt is also inside the firmament? Funny, flat earthers are always saying that rockets blow up because it hit the firmament. Operation Fishbowl is because a bomb hit the firmament. They want to believe so bad that they dismiss logic. If a rocket and a bomb can hit the firmament where we can see it with the naked eye, and the sun and the moon are inside the firmament, wouldn't those same rockets and bomb reach the sun and the moon? Not to mention Venus and Mercury in record time that we can see it with the naked eye. Hey, maybe the Van Allen belt is the firmament. It would explain why meteors can get through and we can't get out. Nah, that couldn't be the case because we have to pass it to get to the moon, right? And I don't suspect the belts are the separations of the waters above. Another thing that's funny to me is when flat earthers say, if the earth is spinning so fast, how come we're not flying off of it? Let me ask you this. If a kid gave you an apple after he sneezed on it, you take the apple and put it on the most powerful drill created and spin it. And let's say that the apple doesn't break apart. Would you still feel the need to wash that apple since theoretically the germ should have flown off of it? If you said yes, then you're contradicting yourself. Another good point flat earthers has is that if the planet is spinning to the east and you take a flight to the west, you should reach your destination faster flying west than flying back east. I would agree with that, but in this reality, in a closed system, if that system is moving, you are moving with that system. The plane is already moving before it takes off. You in a car moving 80 miles an hour and you toss a tennis ball up and catch it. Will that ball go to the back of the car or come straight back down in your hand? Will helium balloons be locked to the back of the windshield or stay in place in a car moving 80 miles per hour? Here's a perfect example. Watch this. How do you explain that? Let's talk about water. Flat Earthers' favorite is that water always seeks its level. There's no curve. But skip the part that when gravity has no effect, water always takes the shape of a sphere. But some of them don't believe in gravity either. And while we're on airplanes, Flat Earthers said that planes has to make constant downward adjustments to the curvature of the Earth if it was a globe, but never said on a Flat Earth model, planes coming from China to New York would have to make constant right turns, or China to San Francisco would have to make constant left turns. See how that works? More questions. If the Earth is flat, then why do we have the Great Year? How does it take 26,000 years for the constellation to complete a cycle on a flat model?
So what we're going to do first is go back 13,000 years. In this case, it'll show up like minus 11,000. And we're going to see just how much the night sky has changed. This is actually a very interesting field of research. I think it's called archaeoastronomy, where astronomers and archaeologists are looking at how the night sky has changed, and they're using that to date ancient landmarks and structures, because a lot of them are built using astronomical alignments, whether it's the sun or some of the stars. And by using software like this, they can see what would have lined up at what time frame, and that's how they're able to date a lot of these ancient structures. Another interesting fact is that there appears to be some link between the Great Year and global catastrophes, where at certain points during the Great Year, the Earth is more susceptible to global devastation. And we see that pretty repeatedly at certain intervals throughout the Great Year. So about 13,000 years ago, almost exactly, this is what you would have seen if you looked up overhead in the night sky. And that is incredible for those of you who are familiar with the night sky. This is something you would never see in the Northern Hemisphere in our lifetimes, because the Milky Way core is all the way down here. But 13,000 years ago, it was directly overhead. So far, in fact, that you can even see, I think, one of the large Magellanic clouds right there. And that's something you can only see in the Southern Hemisphere, which is pretty remarkable. So for those of you who do want to capture some photos like this, if you don't want to go down to South America or anywhere in the Southern Hemisphere, you just have to wait about 13,000 years and you'll be able to get these shots. And the other interesting thing about this, as we talked about earlier, is our North Star. In our lifetime, it's Polaris, but 13,000 years ago, it was Vega. If I turn on our equatorial grid, you can see that Vega is the closest big bright star to the North Celestial Pole. And as we continue on in our time machine here, you can see that it got even closer, in this case about 14,000 years ago. So if you were somebody living way back then and you're trying to navigate at night, you would have been using Vega rather than Polaris to find your way.
That's a whole nother can of worms. You want to know something interesting? I see the Big and Little Dipper almost every night on a clear night. I witnessed the solar eclipse in 2017. Did you know you could see some of the stars during the solar eclipse? How come I couldn't see any of the dippers? Granted, I only had about 2 minutes to catch it, and I probably wasn't looking in the correct location. All I know is that I didn't see it. All of this to say is, Can't we all agree that something is not right? And the only reason it's not right is because we're living in a simulation. Why do you think that unless you leave the planet, everything you observe is at eye level? You on a plane, the horizon is at eye level. On a boat, the ocean is at eye level. On land, as far as you can see, eye level. Even underwater, eye level. You never have to look down or up. Everything is always eye level, just like a computer simulation. We're all wasting energy debating on the output of a computer screen. Both flat and globe exist. Whatever you believe, you create. If majority of the collective believe that the world is flat, it would become flat for all. The thing that gets under my skin is, if flat earthers can prove and convince that the world is flat, what would it change? Nothing. See, we told you the government's been lying to us. We all know the government's been lying. They've been lying to us about everything. Everything we was taught was all a lie. And we all know who runs the government and the planet for that matter. Why are we not talking about these missing children? Why are we not talking about Bitchute possibly selling kids online?
Guys, I love GTA 5, man. I mean, GTA 5 is such a cool game. Like, there's so many cool Easter eggs, and there's so many cool stuff about GTA 5. I mean, like, how can you get better than GTA 5, right? I mean, like, you get to ride in cool fancy cars, and, like, cool secret Easter eggs, and, like, Franklin, man. Franklin is so cool, right? Like,
I don't have a following, so this video may never reach who it's meant to reach. The information you're about to receive, I do not take lightly. They are actively selling children on Vinted, and I feel like as a society, we are heavily underreacting to this. Vinted is a thrifting app, similar to Macari, similar to Depop, and they are actively using listings of children's toys, clothing, and random objects, honestly, to list children. The one that got me the most was a Mario doll for $20,000. You look at the description and it's disgusting in context. Mind you, I learned about this on my own FYP because a girl was talking about it, and in her comments were just screenshots of the Vinted post. I'm realizing not enough people are talking about this. No one is protecting children. As a mother of 3, I can tell you I was in tears for hours last night. My heart is broken. I'm stopping myself right now from crying. This is unacceptable. Children are not safe anywhere. Anywhere. If you are on Vinted and you see anything like what I'm describing, report the post, report the seller, and contact your local law enforcement. Something has to be done, and unfortunately, us civilians, we have to be the ones to do it.
2 earthquakes hit Venezuela, 40 seconds apart with a distance of 14 miles between both. A record. Then we see the red skies, definitely not natural. So now that Venezuela is officially the elite's new playground, here comes the missing children. And I see a lot of talk about kids being sold on Vinted, but that's just a diversion, just like the Wayfair scandal. Elites don't buy children on retail stores, that's too easy to trace. But it doesn't mean they don't buy them. In 2010, after the earthquake in Haiti, a woman named Laura Silsby was caught at the border with 33 Haitian children claiming they were orphans, but they were not. 33? And the Clintons, who are some of Epstein's favorite clients, bailed her out, and then she got a job at Amber Alert. You can't make this up. There were also children missing after the Maui fires, and mainstream media ignored the story completely. Now, if you ask me if it's possible that weather can be manipulated to advance a political agenda while trafficking children for the elite, I'm gonna say this. Do they poison our food and water? Did they create a bioweapon, made us sick and got rich off of it? Did they bomb a kids' school in Iran? Are they capable of genocide? Come on, create a weather disaster and traffic children in the process? That's light work. When it comes to our kids, there's no debate. The perpetrators must be executed. And I know that this story can be upsetting, but as long as we prioritize hitting the streets for a Knicks game instead of the real issues, nothing's gonna change.
Why are we not talking about them trying to ignite a race war? If you think that sister they found hanging in Florida coincidentally on Juneteenth and calling it a suicide with no news coverage was by a random group of racist white people, think again. If you're not gonna do anything about the problem, then shut the fuck up. I'm tired of seeing Flat and Globe going back and forth, calling each other names, but I do realize that Flat used the most insults. Kinda reminds me of Democrat and Republicans. The whole point of this video and my slight rant is to say, can't you see it's a psyops? That's why I try to avoid these topics, but I'm seeing too many people getting stuck on it and taking their eyes off the real problem. Time is running out, and the longer we take to make a move, more of a chance we have no moves left. Before I go, I want to say, you ever wonder why America has the most group of foreigners, the most ethnicity, the most group of religion, policies based on race? It's because America sets the standards. America starts the trends. Whatever America do, majority of the planet follows. If we all look alike, a lot of the bullshit they place on us wouldn't pass. But since we all don't look alike or have the same beliefs, everyone has a not my problem state of mind until it becomes their problem. But by then, it'll be too late. I can't wait to hear the bots comment on this one. And if you made it this far, please hit that like button on the way out. It helps out a lot, and I appreciate it. I love you all. Everyone have a great day, and I'll talk to you real soon. Peace.